Minecraft, but when your hunger bar empties, you don't regain health. Also, it's hard difficulty, and if we die, the world is deleted. Can we survive for 14 hours, and more importantly, teach people about how to make progress into the Minecraft mid-game? Let's find out. First though, even all these years later, you'll still need wood, and although it is found in many of the natural structures, you're still better with wood than without, and even in a mesa, it's never too far away. The next step is about long-term planning, at least if the world is here to stay, and a saddle and some sugarcane are two of the best investments you can make. Forgetting this till last will definitely be a mistake. Modern Minecraft progression is done fastest via a village, so look for one of these 5 biomes, but really focus on these 3, because the bonus is that deserts will contain desert temples, one of the best places to find a saddle, and ooh, look how lucky we are. We also got some gold and an emerald, but don't forget the TNT, which is the most valuable freebie of all of them. Using hay bales we looted from the first village, we also managed to grow this horse into an adult, and now I can ride around the world, which is great until you hit an ocean. This is where it's really valuable to have a boat. You can put horses in boats, and although it seems very hard to ride, at least on bedrock, just try and get an angle from underneath the boat, and now you and the horse can go and sail the seas to find your village you're looking for. The first few days though are mostly about making note of what you see on your journeys, and to be even lazier, you can just take some of it with you. Mushrooms, pumpkins, and even lava can be grown infinitely if you take just one of them, and so although you can't say you're leaving nature without a trace, you can take all of these lovely things back to your base. By the way, on day 5, I still hadn't found a second village, one I actually wanted to start in, and at this point you might be thinking, wow, you should just settle down wherever you can, work on the village later, but no, it is worth front-loading 5 or even 6 days worth of effort to find a village, and like we did eventually, we got a really decent one. What I define as a good village is one which has good sight lines, so mobs can't sneak up and kill your villagers, lots of houses for lots of villagers, and ideally some flat ground to build on. If it has all of those things, you're off to a really good start, and immediately you're going to want to place down a chest to store some of this excess stuff that you're going to farm later, and you want to start as many of these farms as possible. Almost every farm in Minecraft has the principle of the bigger it gets, the easier it is to grow, and so going from 2 to 3 is really slow, while the jump from 200 to 300 will take almost exactly the same time. This is valuable for lots of resources, which is why I made lots of farms right here, and yeah, you're going to want some of these resources later, the most important, like I said, being sugarcane. So get that down on the ground, have yourself a good look around, and conclude where the biggest danger spots are, and just keep your eye on them. Obviously, your goal is to go to sleep every night so mobs can't spawn, especially if you're on hard difficulty without regeneration like I am, and so when you see water, you should be thinking trident throwing drowns, which can 2-hit KO you without armor. You need to light up your water, or you can cover it up. I use my lava here to do so. When the water hits lava, it creates obsidian, but when lava hits water, it makes stone, which is weird, but hopefully useful to know anyway. Speaking of weird, this is mostly useful for UHC, but you can craft suspicious stew with an oxide daisy, and it will regenerate 1 heart when you eat it. This can and does help me in all sorts of dangerous situations later, because my god, does this go crazy. Speaking of crazy, did you know greater than 99% of house fires happen to people who aren't subscribed to the IBX Sleekcat YouTube channel? If you subscribe today, you can bring your odds down. That is definitely how statistics work, don't question it. Getting back to the world on day 8 though. On day 8, I come up with a gift idea for your friends who can't read. Yeah, if you've got an illegible friend who's never played Minecraft before, and you want to prank him, poisonous potatoes are the best. Then I craft a mushroom stew, but I add the specific ingredient of an oxide daisy in there. This makes it a suspicious stew with the specific effect being regeneration. It will only go off for 2 ticks, but as you can see when I eat that, that gives me some of my health back, which is an amazing gift to get in a no regeneration survival. Obviously you don't need regeneration if you have a shield though, and I craft one of those, and just in case you think I'm really smart because of how that immediately saved me from a skeleton, then you should see the mistake I made while trying to ride my horse. Oh no! On day 9, I create some cauldrons and start my lava farm. I think it's really important to early on start as many farms as you possibly can, because some of them take a while to get started. For example, your first lava will take forever to get from a lava farm, but your second one will take half the time, and then your third will take even less than that, and there's a big momentum snowball to do with every farm, so make sure you do that with collecting sheep or pumpkins. But you don't have to take your pro tips from me, because I forgot to take a bed with me when I went into the cave, and so it's much darker than normal when I went to sleep, which means on day 10 I wake up and there are some mobs spawning in and they're killing villagers. Also, that's bad. So I expand my melon and my pumpkin farm to date, as well as collecting some extra sugarcane. You can always do with a bigger sugarcane farm, and why not also have a dripstone farm? Honestly, this one is kind of me being indulgent, but I wanted to start one, and so I did. I also found some cows so I could start a cow farm, because that's going to be really useful for crafting books and bookcases later, so just get it done now, and then you'll also have a lovely source of food. You can also find some dogs if you happen to spawn near a forest like me. These are super cute mobs, I don't need to tell you, they're one of the best protectors, and I'm really glad that I have them. So on day 11, I'm really excited, things are going really well, until, oh my god, a creeper blew up behind me, and not only hurts me significantly, but also my dog. So I have to eat a golden apple, thank god I've got some spare ones of those, and I emotionally had to prepare very strongly for danger at this point, because I have been killed before on a UHC run, and this is what the first hit feels like, especially when you're in such a danger hole, as I deliberately went into to find some iron. However, it seems as though that passed, and even better, while digging into this place and looking for more iron, I found a mineshaft. This is an absolute gold mine in a very literal sense, and so I just need to take the coordinates of this place, and I'm going to dig in myself via a much safer, less skeleton-filled route. I also decided to dig up some gravel for later, because I want some concrete, and there is precisely zero foreshadowing with what I'm saying right there. All you need to know is that day 12 runs around, and I get more gravel because I specifically need flint. However, I'm very unlucky with how this turns out, and I don't get any for a real long time. I also decide to fill in the gaps in the corners of my sheep farm, and what better a block than pumpkins? I mean, they're a beautiful fit. I'm using naturally sourced ingredients to truly add to the beauty here, and I also expand the sugarcane farm, because like I said, and will say a trillion times again, you can never have too much sugarcane. It is just a fact that is true, as you can tell from my sky height sugarcane farm, and it's something that you need to do even in a new world. It's also important to me to get some lava from the lava farm and use this to double up on it. I want to really make sure I'm getting the maximum output later, and right now that means not taking the lava and doing fun things with it. I don't get free smelting, but I will get a lot more out of it in the near future. Day 13 is when you'd expect I'd have bad luck, but I took a page out of the book of elevators and I just skipped the 13th floor, or in this case the 13th day, by skipping to day 14 and just living that day twice. It's a little bit Groundhog Day, but it's a good day otherwise, and I also get the flint required for a fletching table, meaning I can finally get my hands on a fletching villager. Why do I want that? Well, let's find out. Because on the real day 14, I want to go foraging, because I need mushrooms to get that mushroom stew that can magically heal me up in a healing, and that does require going up against the #1 nemesis of horses, it's rivers. How can you deal with horses and rivers? Well, you can get a horse that can just jump high enough, and you can maybe perfectly angle it, or you can simply get out and build a bridge. It's kind of fun in my opinion, and the reward I get is some pumpkins, some mushrooms, as well as gravel and spruce saplings. A pretty good day of foraging where I also learned a lot more about my world. As I sleep on the way home, I realize that day 15 is finally here, and today I decide to finally invest in some iron armor so that if I do get hit, it's going to be significantly less severe. I also place down my fletching tables finally, which means I can start to make my trades. Why do I want fletchers? Because they'll buy sticks from you. I need to remove this forest anyway, and now I've worked out a scheme where the villagers will buy these woods that I'm chopping down from them right back from me, and I absolutely love that. I also placed down the spruce saplings. These seemed inconsequential earlier, but they're going to be my way of growing huge mushrooms, because as I grow 2 by 2 of these, it'll give me some podzol, which is one of the few surfaces you can place mushrooms down on if you want to grow them. Day 16 arrives, and I'm about 3 hours into playing this particular Minecraft world, by the way. This is about 4 hours into the stream as a whole, so I've been playing Minecraft non-stop for 4 hours, and it's just a reminder as to how much 10 days or 16 days really is in Minecraft, and how getting to a full 100 is an insane challenge. I want to point that out because I want to dig to my mineshaft, and so I have to think about this. I make a shovel, and then I start digging to the rough coordinates that I wanted to. Once I get down below the ground and the dirt, I start using my pickaxe, and then I dig seriously. It's actually quite a bit further than I was probably imagining, and so I use up an entire iron pickaxe and haven't found my way to the mineshaft yet. Meaning, embarrassingly, I come back to their base for day 17, and then go right back in there with a new pickaxe I've treated myself to, but it turns out I'm still too far away, and now I have to switch to a lowly stone pickaxe. I know, I'm living like a true peasant now, and I also make a chest because I'm just picking up so many stone blocks that I know I want to keep for some point later. I have this hoarding tendency where I don't want to leave blocks on the floor, because what if it turns out I need them later? So I'll end up making chests all over the world to store my garbage in, just in case it turns out not to be garbage. You know the idiom, like, oh, one man's trash is another man's treasure? My man's trash is my man's treasure. is what I will say nonsensically, as I talk about how on day 18, as the Minecraft world turns legal, I finally end up next to the abandoned mineshaft. However, I dig down a little bit to make a safer entrance in, and then immediately as I go into this place, I find a mob spawner in the mineshaft, but it's missing the spawner. What a weird combination of structures. Always have to say these are some of my favorite things to find, and yeah, a few minutes after that, I have a very close call with a creeper, and then another minute after that, I have a very scary moment with a cave spider.
Stop! No, 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 no.
After near immediately having a second one, I start to realize this is a very dangerous place. Who would have known, but abandoned mineshafts can be a place of danger and doom. Anyway, I think that doom is going through because on day 19, by the way, I'm sleeping in caves. There's not really much functional purpose to this. I just want to get to 100 days in 17 hours rather than 34, which is what it would take if I never slept. So I need to, I go to sleep, and when I wake up, I get myself some iron, in fact, quite a bit of it, enough to make an iron sword.
And a sword will be great for, you know, just killing things, murdering them good.
I also make another pickaxe and some more suspicious stew, and this is going to be really useful when I next encounter a skeleton, except, wait, what?
Yeah, I want you to follow me around this corner, actually, rather than just wasting my shield. Yeah, do it around here, please. Okay, no, he doesn't care about me. He is just like everyone else in my life, am I right?
It's funny because the real fear in Minecraft isn't when you see a mob. The real fear in Minecraft is when you see a mob and then you get trapped in cobweb and you have that deep fear inside yourself of, oh god, how do I get out of this? A creeper is literally going to kill me, because that's a thing they can do on hard difficulty. If they get close enough, they will murder you, and they'll be able to do that if you're trapped in cobwebs. But thankfully, I'm lucky enough to get out of that. And then just around a corner, there's a chest with a golden apple as well as some powered rails. I'm gonna take those. I don't even know what they're going to be useful for yet, but I know I want them, and I'm also going to use lava, which I find in this place, to smelt up some iron and get even more of this. I then go to sleep, and it's day 20. And so just like in real life, the 20s in this video are going to go by super quick. You won't even see it coming. So on day 20, I killed 2 birds with 1 stone. I mined some gravel while looking for some diamonds, which I later do find. 2 whole diamonds as well as an iron helmet and boots. This has been a good day, but day 21 is even better because I cut down some trees to make some chests. I also make some lecterns while I'm here, kill some cows, and I realize I'm 5 hours into this now. But on day 22, it gets even better because I practice what I preach.
I'll forgive him, and I'll tie him up so he can never leave me again. If you love something, tie it to a post. That's the lesson you got to remember from all of this.
I also craft my first enchantment table and then immediately use it to enchant my sword and leggings. Day 23 is even better though, because there is a trident wielding drowned in this pool.
Oh god, how did he even spawn there?
Very, very dangerous for me, but thankfully I didn't kill the iron golem, and so he kills the drowned for me. This is why you never kill your iron golems, and that is something I'll never regret. But with day 24, I finally start turning all of those trees that I've been chopping down into emeralds using the Fletcher. What a wonderful trade. I also get an axe from a weaponsmith, and now I'm using a positive feedback loop that ends with the village being a safer place for me and the villagers. On day 25, there's a lot of things. I have to take a nut break because I'm so hungry. This entire world really was one long continuous day for me. From when I woke up to when I went to sleep, I didn't take any food breaks, and so I had to do that while I was playing, but I also did a little bit of sharing, and I bought some podzol because why not? On day 26, I cut down some more trees for safety, turn those into sticks and turn those into emeralds, but then I also decide to harvest some pumpkins because I realize I'm going to need to make this pool safer. One of those drowns of a trident could seriously kill me, and my good friend the iron golem might not save my life. On day 27, I also decide to increase my pumpkin farm area just because these are going to be useful for all sorts of things. Why not expand it even more? And on day 28, I finally plant some brown mushrooms because I need these, and there is a lot of podzol laying around anyway. Might as well do some fun stuff with it. And then I bone meal my red mushrooms, finally allowing me a very large source of both of these things. Very useful, and I immediately use them to make some stew. On day 29, I collect some pumpkins and some sugarcane, and on day 30, I start making a chest area, as well as picking where my nether portal will be. Wow, that was the super rapid fire 20s. How did you find that? That was a surprisingly fast condensing of a full 2 hours of gameplay. No, for real, this is a huge challenge, and it's one that I didn't take lightly, knowing it would take an entire day, but honestly, one of the things that kept me excited was just knowing
knowing that I could embark on something brand new every day. So on day 31, for example, I was like, let's collect some clay, and so I sold that to the stonemason. I think although villagers are very OP and it feels like you're doing a lot more trading than real crafting in Minecraft sometimes, it is a really fun thing if you're the sort of person who can't do the same task for hours at a time, because you can do something new every day. Case in point, I enslaved a librarian, because on day 32, I was going to make sure this librarian gave me the right trades. Whenever you have a prisoner, they're always going to want to give you the right information, as long as you torture them over and over again till you get it. So I went over and over again, taking away his lectern, bringing it back, until he would sell me the right book. And although he didn't give me the right one, he gave me fortune free, and I wasn't sure if I was going to take it, but I decided in the end it was a good idea. However, that meant on day 33, I still need to find a librarian who will give me mending or unbreaking. If you want to have a 100-day world, it's very important that you have tools that can last, and honestly, you could just keep crafting new ones, you could easily argue, but personally, for a long-term world, it's worth building this stuff now, even if it takes a few days and a lot of trading tries. However, this didn't work out perfectly to date, so I went instead into the mineshaft to go look for some more iron so I could make myself an anvil, which thankfully I did. Then on day 34, I woke up in the mine, exactly the same logic as before. I don't need to extend these days unnecessarily, and so I try not to, and on the way back home, I kill a bunch of cows because they're chilling out anyway, and then I organize my chests. I know, me, Toycat, organizing my chests, something has gone horribly wrong, but I feel like this is something I can keep on top of in an early game world. The further in your world you go about organizing your chests, the harder and harder it gets, and so things are perfectly fine right now. I do craft myself another lectern because I need another trader, and honestly, I've got myself a full villager trading hall at this point. It looks a little bit silly, but don't worry, it's going to look a lot sillier later, so it's all fine. And then I get back to cutting down trees around the village just before day 35 arrives. On day 35, I smelt up all of this iron that I got, as well as collecting some extra pumpkins and melons. Every day, I'm trying to just keep on top of these trading with Fletchers, of these selling my pumpkins and melons, just getting maximum value from the things that I'm producing myself in this village, so I can later get diamond tools and indeed these magical books from this trader. I also do the same with my lava farm, which has now produced enough of it for me to be able to finish my Nether portal. That's right, after lighting it up on day 36, I can now go to the Nether whenever I like, which is not going to be anytime soon because it's the Nether and I'm on hardcore with no naturally regenerating health. Everything can kill me by looking at me funny, and that's before we consider the Nether. Obviously later things get very hectic in there, but don't worry, I'll explain how things got to that point. But for now, let's explain my anvil creation. This is super useful, and for a lot of people it's the last major thing you need iron for, but I was personally still going to need massive amounts of iron and coal. Why is that? Well, there are lots of trades to get up the various toolsmiths, which require you to either buy a lot of very expensive things from them, or just give them some iron. If you can say have 200 iron, then you would never have to buy something from them, and you can make a lot of money from something you mine from the ground instead. This meant that I spent day 37 looking around for iron, and honestly not being very successful, but I did find a bunch of coal, which I collected with fortune free, also going to be useful, not just for smelting. I'm not going to use that. I've got a lava farm I'm collecting, but I am going to use it to sell to villagers to get me up their tech tree and save me a little bit of emeralds in my own right, as well as making me some. So day 38 seems like it might be a bit better. As you can see, I look around and I don't really find too much. I do get this amazing view on top of this mountain. Wow, you can ride horses right up mountains, and I also find a ruined portal, but it turns out I've already been to this one before, so I'm doing a terrible job. I sleep away from my base and I decide I am going to find iron, which is amazing because on day 39 I find this. This is a mega hole in the ground at the perfect level, it looks like, for finding iron, and it's so perfectly exposed to the outside world, I know I'm not going to take any damage. I say that, and then, as you can see, I take some damage from zombies, but besides the unfair reach of zombies, in my opinion, I don't take any damage, except, okay, there's some skeletons here, and oh yeah, look at this! My shield keeps me safe from the skeleton, and then I managed to fight the slime without any damage from either of those guys. I sleep inside of this cave directly, with day 40 starting beautifully, and me having 5 stacks of iron in my inventory. Things are amazing, except I cannot find my horse for the life of me. Seriously, I have no idea where he's gone. It takes me a full 5 minutes to get my hands on him, but I do. I ride my horse, I have to make him a bridge over the river, and then I kill some wild cows. Anyway, I'm back to base after that, and I'm excited to start smelting up the iron and to start making these trades with the toolsmith. But a toolsmith alone is not going to do what I'm looking for, because I make a blast furnace on day 41. Why do I do that? Well, it's a good thing you ask me, rhetorical voice in my head? It's so I can make my brand new trader. So later today, I managed to get my hands on a diamond shovel with Unbreaking 1, efficiency 2. It's not awful. As well as a diamond hoe. Okay, real awesome. I just bought my way into those trades. But then on day 42, I trade with the weaponsmith to get a diamond axe. It has smite 2 and Unbreaking 2, which isn't great, but I just disenchant those things and I got a free diamond axe. And then I just add some extra bookshelves to my enchantment table, knowing I'm gonna get myself a great axe of my own right. I also start trading with the armorer, get myself an iron chestplate. Again, I feel like at this point I really should have better armor than I do. In a world where you can die so easily, having armor should be one of the first priorities, but I think waiting a little bit later has actually worked out for me. So day 43 is really great because I use my fortune free pickaxe to collect wheat seeds because I'm gonna go crazy on this wheat farm. I also reset my librarian trades using a sticky piston because I'm explicitly now looking for protection or mending. Honestly, I have a slight preference for protection because if I get that on my armor, I can start taking hits left, right, and center, and unless they're fire or withering or poison, I should feel pretty good about myself. However, I don't get it all of today, so I just get myself some brown mushrooms, and I also get myself some oxide daisies so I can make some more of these regeneration stews. Wow, look at me. I've worked out how to get regeneration on a no regeneration run without having to use potions because they're in the scary, scary Nether. So yeah, as you can see, even with ridiculous constraints, you can still get past them if you work out what's in your dimension. There are so many things in Minecraft, and you've got to know when to take advantage of certain ones. And day 46 is definitely that for me, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. On day 45, I start doing all of my daily tasks. At this point, that involves, I'll do a bit of collecting pumpkins, I'll prepare for my house, I'll make the ground flat, I'll go and I'll, collect some sand, which I might have to smelt. I'll have to feed the sheep and the cows, then I'll have to collect up any lava, any dripstone, any melons and pumpkins, and honestly, after all of this and chopping down trees, it starts to build up a lot. I start to realize that I need to start working out which tasks are most important and which ones are just kind of being filler here. So that is something I'm going to make sure I do, but I said on day 46 I took advantage of something great. One of my favorite, almost insane seeming trades is the fact that you can mine 8 diamonds. It takes quite a bit of doing down underground, or if you have the good trades of this armorer, you can just go through his entire list until he sells you an enchanted diamond chestplate. This has projectile protection 2 in it already, and given that skeletons are quite a risk for me, having this is a no-brainer. Plus also, it's a diamond chestplate, so I'm feeling real good as you can imagine. That's before I buy a diamond sword. That's right, I have all of this already just from buying stuff from villagers, but it gets even better because on day 47, I disenchant my sword because it had planar arthropods, re-enchant it to get sharpness 2 on there, enchant my diamond hoe, and then also buy an Unbreaking 2 diamond pickaxe from a toolsmith, which means that
I mined 2 diamonds for this entire playthrough. Two diamonds is all it takes to go all the way up to full diamond gear.
Day 48 comes and I realize I've got all this diamond armor, I think I can go to the Nether. Something I've wanted to do ever since I got in this world was go back to that Mesa biome where I spawned. All of that gold is going to be amazingly useful in a world where regeneration is hard to come by. If I can just keep eating golden apples, then I can survive basically anything, you might assume. However, I do have to travel thousands of blocks and the fastest way is going to be in the Nether. So before I go, I need to make a few escape routes, and one of those is going to involve obsidian. So I get myself some obsidian. By the way, the day counter is pretty weird at this point, but I can assure you, you can watch the entire thing. You know, we're almost 10 hours in at this point. It'd be very strange if the only day we lied about was day 47, which means all of the days must be light. No, yeah, this was the point where I really was starting to feel it. I was like, man, the sun is starting to set. I woke up before the sun rose. I've seen an entire day of sun behind Minecraft, but it's fine because I knew that day 49 would make everything fine because I decide to enchant my chestplate, and I had to take off the enchantment that was already on there, and what I get after all of this effort is protection 1 and a downgraded pickaxe. Well, that's not very good, so then I decide I'm going to collect the rest of the items I need for the Nether. Some gold might be useful for an apple, a crafting table, all the normal stuff that gets me 100% ready to go in. And so on day 49, here we are, we're about to go right into the breach, and immediately immediately I kill a magma cube and start building a tunnel because I want to travel safely in the Nether. I don't want to, do a mad dash scrap every single time, and so I am doing a very, very good job until I start taking lava damage. Man, lava goes fast in the Nether, huh? Well, if lava can go fast, then on day 50, I'm gonna start tunneling quickly too. However, doing this over a giant basalt delta biome is very nerve-wracking to say the least, and yeah, this is the point at which days get very confused, so I go back to the overworld just so we can be 100% sure. As I go to bed, I wake up, and now it's definitely day 51. Or maybe it's day 50. We'll be 100% sure when we go back to the Nether, but first I want to build an auto sugarcane farm. This is so the sugarcane can live on indefinitely, even if I don't, and yeah, once I go back to the Nether, we're 100% sure, chat has agreed it is day 51, and so I tunnel some more, I find some more lava, but I'm prepared this time, and I go back to the overworld because I want to sleep every night in the world, just so we can be exactly certain as to what day it is. So yeah, I do a little bit risky of a thing on day 52 because I go AFK in the Nether. The reason, of course, being is that I'm a little nuts. I mean, I'm literally made of them at this point, and I need to go get some just so I don't die in real world. You know, I have a hunger meter that I do have to keep up over there, and yeah, then I keep tunneling, and I bridge this huge gap right here, which is just so nerve-wracking to do. If I fall off, the entire run is over, but thankfully it isn't, although this skeleton fight makes it a little bit closer to being real. And then I decide at the end of day 52 to just build a Nether portal, and I use lava to light it, and boom, now we're ready to go back to the overworld. So I know I haven't made it as far as the Mesa biome, but I do go to sleep the moment I go in here, and I find out I'm in a swamp biome. So that's like, I mean, that could be worse. There are frogs here, and there's a mangrove swamp. I can get these mangrove saplings, which I might be able to take for later. I mean, I didn't actually get them correctly, but you know, I can theoretically get those later. And then I decide, you know what? The Nether's a scary place. Why don't I just do the rest of the journey on foot? It is going to take a little bit longer, but it's better to spend a day of my life than to spend, well, my life at this point. I know I'm almost 11 hours into the stream at this point, and a lot of people would do the fun, crazy, wacky thing, but I really wanted to preserve my life, so I slept in the Mesa biome, and on day 54, I start looking around because I am looking specifically for gold. But do you know what I forgot? My fortune pickaxe. The thing that got me 5 stacks of iron, I didn't bring it here with me. So yeah, I first find a desert temple. Turns out it's the one I went to already. Man, what is it with me and revisiting structures? Then I find a second desert temple where I get 2 diamonds, 2 golden apples, a lovely efficiency free book, and some iron.
Man, my life would have been so much easier if I had just come here first.
But sometimes that's how Desert Temple luck goes. I also find a mineshaft while walking to this, and I also make a Nether portal, which means now I officially have 3 portals in my world, one where my village is, one over here, and one in the middle, which is a pretty nice set of Nether portals to be able to get around with. So now the question is, what am I going to do tomorrow? And the answer is, as soon as I wake up, I am mining gold. So on day 55, I look through the mineshaft because I needed some wood anyway, and I don't find any decent amount of gold, but instead I find a creeper. So that's always good, right? And yeah, then also on this day, I realized the portal is not lighting. I try so many things. Something just looks like it's going wrong, and I cannot for the life of me work it out. And then I realized that, well, okay, there's actually a block missing. I was trying to light an incomplete Nether portal. Oopsie. Sometimes you make mistakes when you're playing 11 hours of Minecraft. That's right. That's the official point in the stream. If you go back and watch that 11-hour video, you totally can see all of this has happened so far, but there's still another 14 days to go. So let me show you what happens during those, because although I went to the Nether on day 55, it's day 56 where I headed back and truly decided to make some progress. I tried so much to make a proper, like, tunnel there, but it just wasn't working. There is too big of a divide between the Nether continents, and so what I'd instead decide to do is run like a madman through the Nether. This is a really good idea, running through piglins with no gold on, and then I make my way into a soul sand valley. Why not run through a bunch of skeletons? Oh god, this is why there's so many skeletons. Oh Jesus, this is the closest I've been to death so far. Because I spend so much of this day trying to traverse my Nether, I actually lose out on a lot of real world time where I should have been sleeping, and yeah, I do also lose 3 hearts before this day's over, and I decide to just come back to the overworld, and then I'm here. It's day 57, but at what cost? The answer is a lot of cost. And then I decide to go back back to the Nether, I make a golden helmet, I make a sand tower so I can see what's going on, and then I fight some skeletons to lose another heart. Okay, that's a little painful. I do get back on track though, and I do make my tunnels a little bit safer by adding roofs and walls where I can, so everything is getting a little bit more viable, and then I finally make it back to my base by the end of the day. It is very annoying to have to go all the way back to the base solely so I can get my fortune pickaxe, but that's what I had to do. And then at this point, I switched live streams because YouTube has a 12-hour live stream limit. I was at 11 hours 34. I figured now is the time that I switch over for the rest of these days. My goal was to go for 100, you might recall, and so day 58 to day 100 is the second live stream. You can see it in the description of the first part if you're really curious. But yeah, basically I spend a lot of time in the tunnel doing Texan toy cat accents.
I reckon it's not a good plan whatsoever. I reckon there are better plans found on the side of Interstate 36. Called Texas Highway 36, really. But how much it goes from Texas, I don't know if that's true.
While on day 59, I also spend a lot of my time in the Nether doing Texan toy cat accents.
Your howdy sounds like a fandom strider. I don't know what that means, but I appreciate y'all compliments.
But I also use this day to get my health back up using those magical suspicious stews. Seriously, eating these stews is going to be really wonderful. But yeah, now that I'm in the Mesa biome again, I decide to go looking for some mine shafts. And although these mine shaft chests don't seem like they might contain too much, this one has diamonds in it. Seriously, how many diamonds have I gotten in this world without having to mine for them? The answer is a lot. The only diamond I needed were the 2 to make my enchantment table. Everything else is just being given to me by the game. It's amazing. And so yeah, I then decide to look around for as much gold as I can. I find a little bit of it, and I also take some hay bales from a village where I then later sleep. As we move on to day 60, that's right, 60 days in at this point, it's pretty nuts. But to give you some usable advice, the reason that mesas are OP is because if you have a ton of apples, maybe you've been chopping down trees like crazy, you can convert those apples into golden apples just by mining the gold right here. If you get 3 stacks of gold, for example, that is 24 golden apples, and that will cover you for a lifetime in Minecraft, basically. How many times do you really need that burst of regeneration? Honestly, the reason you need these golden apples is not just on a run where you're not healing. On Bedrock, the regeneration is much slower than it is on Java. Java regeneration is much more balanced and fitting, whereas Bedrock regeneration takes 8 seconds every heal every single time, and it's just far, far, far too long. So if you're in a regular world and you ever get hit by more than 2 things at the same time, get some golden apples. And so I mine a lot of gold, and it's actually one of the best things I do to protect myself until I water bucket into this risky cave. I do a little bit of a torch run around. It's not a perfect one, but I try to light up the area so that mobs go, and then that way when I run back to the area, the mobs are gone and new ones haven't respawned. But I accidentally look at this Enderman apparently at one point while I'm doing that, and this was the worst mistake of the run.
No! When did I look at you? When did I look at you? No! Bad timing! Bad timing! Bad timing!
I survived though, and I made it to day 61 after sleeping in a cave. So I do look for a little bit more gold. You'd figure I'd be so shooken up right now, but honestly, this is the reminder that I have golden apples. I will be fine. I do need to up my armor game. I do need to not look at Enderman for a real long time, but otherwise things are going just great if you really think about it. And so I head back to my swamp portal and I sleep in the middle of the Mesa biome for day 62, where I find another ruined Nether portal, a gold axe of unbreaking, a gold pickaxe, as well as a bell, which I mean, like, I'll put that on the ruined portal, I guess. And then there's also a desert well, which means that even if I die now, I'll feel like I've accomplished something. And so yeah, after looking around a lot more and finding more stuff, I realized that the portal that I'm looking for is gone. I always have rough ideas of where things are in Minecraft, like I'm traveling diagonally this way. I know to travel back the direction I came from, but I lost my portal, and so I spent a solid 5 minutes finding it. But eventually, you better believe that I don't. But I do instead find some brown mushrooms to make some stew with, and then I go to sleep in the swamp entirely lost. It's day 63 when I realize I'll just abandon all my stuff and start again, before I do happen to find my Nether portal, and I go back through it. I go through the entire Nether after having a little bit of fun, come back to the overworld and start smelting that gold. I know that as soon as this gold is smelted and I have over a dozen apples, I am going to be good from any threat that can get me, because as long as it's not pounding on me so fast that I can't just keep eating golden apples, I will not be be able to die. I am now infinitely protected from the world, and that is something I just have to wait for. While I'm doing that, I decide to reset some librarian trades just to keep trying for mending or protection, and what do you know, I finally get mending. Whoa, I've got a mending villager, I've got all the emeralds to buy it with, and I also have a very successful little farm right here. Things are feeling really good. So day 64 is when I create the golden apples. How many do I get? So many. I also use some stew. Now I'm at 8 hearts, and the goal is just to continuously eat stew to get my hearts slowly up and up and up. I could use the golden apples, but I decide to be a little bit cautious of that. I mean, after all, I've got 8 hearts, and I'm not doing anything dangerous yet. I do have plans for a pillager raid, but I'm not doing anything too dangerous yet. So I go to the Nether to mine Nether quartz for experience, which goes about as predictably well as you'd assume. And then I have to eat a golden apple. See, golden apple saves me from bad events. I don't need to be at full health all the time. I can immediately golden apple up, get 2 extra hearts as well as the regeneration. And honestly, it's a really good time. I'm now feeling pretty good as day 65 starts. If I just don't go back to the Nether, I'm going to be real great. However, also, if I'm going to do this pillager raid, which will give me the hero of the village effect, I need to start preparing for this. So I chop down some trees around the base. I also mentioned that if you like this video,
You should probably consider subscribing. Put a ring on it.
and then I also decide, wait a minute, I need to protect the villagers as well. So I put trapdoors in front of them so that when there are pillagers there, even if I abandon my responsibility, hide in a corner and eat golden apples, it's not the villagers that I care about that will die.
This is a nice set of villagers here. But they can sleep in the open, because if they die, it's no concern to me.
This is very good, and so I decide to lock a few other villagers in the house just in case all of these guys die and I have to start again. Pro tip, lock some villagers away. You don't want to lose all of your villagers starting from 0. It's very hard, and so then I have a scary night with lots of mobs spawning in the base, and it's all sounding real bad, but the iron golem's killing mobs from the boat, and so there's nothing for me to fix, for me to go to sleep and go to bed starting day 66. So on this day, I add some villager beds to the houses, I disenchant some axes, I add projectile protection to my gold helmet. I figure if I'm wearing this in the Nether, I want it to help me with something, and it clearly seems like skeletons are my biggest problem. If something is going to kill me, I think it's going to be skeletons. However, rebuying an axe from a weaponsmith is also something I decided to do because I got some bad enchantments when I disenchanted it, so buying another one, and then just adding my efficiency free book from the desert temple, honestly looks like a very good idea. I also cut down some trees around the base still, collect some pumpkins and melons, and trade with my farming villager. Look at my villager house, by the way, looking very natural right now, as well as my raid-proof villager hall. This is all just honestly going very well for me. I am feeling great on day 67. I start working out the spot that my exact house will go in, and then I also make some more golden apples, bringing me back to 21 of them. I then plant some bamboo, I collect some sugarcane, I trade paper with the librarian, and I start finally placing down the first blocks on what are going to be the base. I'm using glass for this so I can see what's happening around me. I can see through glass, but mobs don't seem to be able to see you through it. It's a very handy trick that you might need to know if you are going out quite late, because it's day 68, finally after my next sleep, and I decide to turn my beetroot into red dye, make some red concrete powder, and then kind of mix together this red concrete powder, this red wool, and an iron door. It's a very weird mishmash of blocks, but as you can see, it all just about makes sense to me. Anyway, my final thing I do today is one of my favorite things. I collect sugarcane on day 68 before going to bed and realizing that it's the day that the internet absolutely loves. Everyone finds this to be absolutely hilarious. I make a community post on this day saying, wow, we've made it this far in. Do you want to watch the last third? And honestly, I'm feeling so good at this point. I've got this amazing house that I've turned the concrete powder into concrete. I've got these birch slabs on the roof, and I'm deliberately designing this in such a way that I'll be able to dodge enemy attacks but be able to attack them with a bow very, very easily. Once I get that all sorted, I make myself some more stew because yes, this is very important. And then chat says something about repairing my golem. I look at him and I realize, you know, having this guy around here doesn't make too much sense, but you know, he's going to be useful for the raid probably, I assume. He's going to save my life at some point, and it's not going to be any big deal. So yeah, I continue to collect some pumpkins at this point, and then I dig around my base a bit more to give it a bit more space from the surroundings around it. And while digging around the base, I didn't notice it, but this happened.
Oh no, no!
and instantly it's over. 8 hearts down to 0 despite having all that armor on. What the heck just happened? I had to go back immediately and find out how did that go down so quickly. So in Minecraft there is something called like a cooldown timer. When you get hit you have an immunity from being hit again. Otherwise you die, 3 times from the same damage. However, there are a couple of mobs which are immune from this, the slime and the magma cube, because they're meant to hit you so often. It's meant to be like their special attack. Apparently, I didn't know this, but there's a third mob which is immune, the iron golem. So the iron golem has incredibly powerful hits that are meant to knock you right into the sky, but imagine that iron golem is trapped in a boat and that you come at him from just the wrong angle and that you've angered him without ever realizing it. Well, what would happen in that case is you'd get hit once by the golem, and then before you could even notice, like, wait, what just hurt me so bad? Within a 0.5 second gap, you would get hurt again, and wow, you are dead. That is all it takes to go from on top of the world, about to fight a raid, about to go through 30 more days and really be the first person to have done 100 days of Minecraft, to dead, to over, to gone. And it hurts so bad because the first time I did this attempt, I actually died to a polar bear attacking me through a diagonal wall. So the second time to die to something so arbitrary too, it really, really stung. And I swore to myself I would never do this ever again. And so this has been a great video. Thank you for watching it and maybe considering subscribing. Except wait a minute, you know what? Tomorrow, this exact same thing is happening again. I'm waking up early. I'm streaming for 17 hours, hopefully. I mean, if we die, we die. But I'm streaming for 17 hours, and I'll be the first person to ever legitimately play all 100 days of Minecraft in one session, in one live streamed event that you can watch if you really want to. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. If you want to join me there, please do consider doing so. It's going to be one of the most absurdly long live streams, and thank you so much for Random S7 for putting this video together just in time for that. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and choose to subscribe to see more of these silly long challenges, because I'll see you next time, which honestly is hopefully is a good one.
Oh no, no!